Party people, welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I am your host as always, Jeff Stormer. This week my guest on the show is Aram Vartian, who joins me for a game of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Aram is the host of God's Fall, a heavily edited Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition actual play podcast with soundtrack and special effects, and an ongoing story in which the gods have fallen and the player characters are the new gods rising in their wake. You can find more information about God's Fall at godsfall.com or in the show notes. Aram is also the host of Rise of the Demigods, which is a God's Fall side series which airs on Twitch. You can find that at twitch.tv/godsfall. Dungeons & Dragons is, you know what D&D is. It's the game they play on It's on Stranger Things. Come on now. Before we dive in, a real quick note. Rather than tell you about Dungeons & Dragons, which you already know about, I'd like to tell you about a podcast that I really enjoy that I think you should check out and I think is really worth your time. The Autonomic Podcast is an all-ages actual play set in the mysterious world of Respite, a magical land filled with terrifying monsters, supernatural plots, and kids just like you. Join a protector, detective, a warrior, and a trickster as they solve mysteries, learn about themselves, and unlock weird and wonderful powers. The world needs more actual play content for all ages. You know, I am as guilty of this as anyone, but a lot of actual play content is sort of adult-focused, which means that there are large sections of audiences that are being ignored, and there's not a lot of actual play that families can listen to together. And I think that's part of what makes Autonomic so special, is it creates this space that is evocative and rich, and it gives this new look and feel to fantasy, and it is cool and different, but it's also... it is appropriate for all ages, and, like, kids can listen to it with their parents, kids can listen to it on their own, and it's a really interesting and special thing that I think is well worth your time. Putting aside the fact that the performers, you know, Kat Cool, Pranks Paul, Liz Anderson, Taylor B. Hill, and Stephen Kropa are all spectacular and wonderful, I think it's well worth your time, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. I highly recommend checking it out. You can find more information at autonomicpodcast.com. And with all that said, let's throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. This week, I'm sitting down with Aram Vartian. Aram, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Thank you for having me.
So real quick, at the top of the show, why don't you take a moment to let the lovely listeners at home know about any projects that you've got going on that you might want them to know about.
Okay, well, I am currently working on my main podcast, God's Fall, which you can find at godsfall.com. And I'm also working on a new spin-off show that's both a podcast and a video show, which is called Rise of the Demigods. And you can watch that every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central on twitch.com/godsfall. And that's also in a podcast version as well.
Fabulous. That's super cool. God's Fall is one of the like seminal actual play examples. So I feel like it is. It's real good. It real good.
Thank you. I really started on a lark. I started just because I wanted to bring some. I just thought editing would be interesting and some like production value. I just thought it might be a fun project, and then it just kind of took off.
I know that. Why it's exactly why the reason I started Party of One was. So because I had a closet full of role-playing games, and I said, I should probably actually find an excuse to play these with people. Also, scheduling with one person is way easier than scheduling with four.
So much easier.
Yeah. So show booked. So, this week we are playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, the classic, the standard bearer. So why don't you take a moment and introduce us to your character, give us their backstory, tell me where they are starting their journey today.
Okay, so I am starting with my monk, Kalar. And Kalar has no last name, just a first name. He is a human monk and was raised in a monastery as servitude to the god Ilmater. Ilmater believes in making sure that in basically self-sacrifice for the betterment of everyone. And Kalar belongs to a kind of a specific sect of that religion where they will train their monks and their acolytes to service others and to have no personal drive or desire or will almost. They just live in servitude of others. He is true neutral and has no moral compass of his own, simply adopts the moral compasses of those that he serves. And as far as where he's starting, it can be anywhere because one of the last tenets of this religion is that once they leave the monastery, they go somewhere, sit under a tree or next to a fountain or wherever their their, kind of like opium-laced dream journey tells them to go, and wait for the first person they see. And then they serve that person forever.
So, I want to ask you.
Sure.
Where you are at, our story begins in like a grand mead hall.
Okay.
One of these big, everyone in town. I think it's almost a combination mead hall barracks, like underground city kind of.
Perfect.
Giving it that sort of big D&D larger than life flair. It is the top floor of which, the part that is above ground, is just a mead hall that is the size of like an industrial warehouse.
Awesome.
And then there is a small town, fort, barracks complex underneath. What is Kalar doing in this mead hall in the height of like a, raucous, big, elaborate, like feast? Music is playing, bards are singing, magic is in the air. Big turkey legs are being thrown from table to table. Big raucous picture. What is Kalar up to?
I would say that this would be all so new to him, and he would want to experience everything, but would also be a little bit timid. So maybe he would grab a meaty chicken leg out of the air, bite into a try, and join in with everyone else. But it's almost childlike in his desires because he hasn't experienced a lot of this. Never has drank ale either. So that would be a first.
Excellent. So yeah, you're surrounded. You're almost overwhelmed, right? There's almost a sensory overload going on because people are shouting and there is screaming and there is music, and at the top, at the head of the hall, right? There's the table that faces everyone else, and that is where the Jarl of the community sits. Old, big beard, crusty, crust. I'd say crusty is a good adjective for it.
Yeah.
That's sort of like not just a little unpleasant to be around, but is in this position of power. So you have to acknowledge it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he raises his. I think he's got I'm gonna say it's a bone scepter.
Okay.
It's almost a spinal cord and a skull that has been decked out with jewelry and such. And he raises this and he says, tonight we celebrate, for tomorrow this may all go away. And he's sullen, and I'm going to ask you for this. I think I'm going to ask for a skill check. And I'm going to ask you for a skill check to see if you can ask me some questions about what is happening here.
Sure.
I think this might be an insight roll.
Absolutely. That is going to be 12.
On a 12, I'll tell you what you notice, and you can ask me one question about what's unfolding around you. The Jarl seems Jarl Hanfirth. Hanfirth seems sullen, but almost a little hammy. Like he's putting it on a little thick. Like he's projecting a sadness, kind of like when you a politician crying on camera.
Yeah.
He's giving that very, oh, woe is all of us, that very Jeremiah, we are all doomed to dangling on a spider web type feel, as he gives this ostensibly very joyous speech to a raucous bunch of mercenaries and travelers and traders and all sorts of, rugged people.
Yeah. Well, Kalar buys all of it. Every single bit of it. Obviously this town is in great peril, and that must be the reason why I have been sent here, because of all of the peril. So he'll walk right up to the front, at the edge of the stage, one hand with a big chicken leg, and the other hand with some mug that someone has handed him that was called mead. Never had this, but it tastes good. And he is just rapt right now. This is why I was here.
It's a very good mead. It's brewed with elderberry, so it's got a little bit of that tart to it.
Nice.
It's irresistible.
Nice.
So, what's a question that either you or Kalar wants to pick up from around the situation?
So he wants to know what the threat is and how it's being handled, or just what the threat is.
So, you've heard a few stories from around the mead hall of people reporting that adventuring parties adventuring parties, exploratory parties have been, ransacked, waylaid, put to rest. People have been scattered and routed. Something is looming in the caverns outside of this mead hall that is powerful and ancient and deadly. But everybody seems to be talking about it in very hushed tones. Almost as if, and you notice when people talk about it, they kind of talk about the people that have gone out in these parties in almost a disparaging tone. They're like, oh, those adventuring parties went out and they were wiped out. Of course they were. They weren't nearly as powerful as we were.
Right.
It's a lot of people almost posturing that, if they were in that situation, it'd be fine.
Of course, because they're in a bar. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's something in those caves.
I'll listen to these, and then I'll find is there one of them that seems more authentic than others? They actually know what they're talking about, or is everyone just bragging right now?
There is a small table of, I'm going to say, 2 adventurers in, there are 2, these are fur traders, right? They've got fur capes and, pelts. All, their outfits are extremely fur decorated in a way that, a fur trader trying to advertise their wares would be.
Sure.
But it's all,
one of
badly scorched and scarred and torn to shreds, and they're wrapped in bandages.
Oof.
And they seem consciously secluded from the group.
Excellent. I will approach them.
And they look up and they almost wince when they see a person approach.
And Kalar is ridiculous. He's got long black hair, perfectly chiseled body, doesn't wear a shirt, and walks around barefoot. So he kind of sticks out no matter where he goes. And he'll just sit right down, not thinking anything of it. Hello.
Oh, you're talking to us. Okay, hey, hi. It's so nice to meet you. I am Kurth. This is Gorn. I am Kurth, Gorn. What is your name? Wow, somebody's talking to us. This is exciting.
My name is Kalar.
Kalar? Kurth? Gorn? Wonderful. Hi. This is great. You're not coming to attack, beat us up or anything, right?
No, that seems to have been done already.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh my god, people have been throwing things at us all evening.
That's just terrible. And Kalar would turn and catch a mug as it was thrown in this direction and put it down. Have you had the mead?
They gave us a jug, but it was empty and then just kind of shrugged, so no.
This will not be tolerated. And Kalar gets up and storms towards the bar.
And I think the fact that you sat with them even a moment means that the bartender is takes way too long to acknowledge you.
Kalar will just stare at him, and if that doesn't work, he will just grab a jug of mead that he can find and walk back.
And I think, the bartender, screams a little bit, but there's too many people sort of, making demands, and so you come back with the jug, and you put it down, and the 3 of you start talking, and they start telling you, what has happened. And it was that they were a fur trading... Why don't you make me an insight roll?
Sure.
I'll tell you the story and then make me a roll. They were a fur trading... The story they told you was that they were a fur trading group that they were fur traders, they were travelers, they were going from one port to the next, they were on their way to Caldris when, a winged beast from the sky came down and sprayed them with lightning, and suddenly the sky was lit up with shimmering shades of thunder and agony, and their party was torn asunder. They barely escaped with their lives. All of the furs that they were transporting to Caldis were destroyed, and everything is a mess. And this will keep happening unless an adventuring party of great enough power were to go out and find and slay that thing.
Wow. Well, Kalar rolled a 13 and is highly entranced by this story.
So, the thing that you notice, these are the burliest fur traders that have ever traded furs. These are, they appear as though, it looks like they are fully grown adults in a Little League game of baseball.
Yeah.
Like, they're big and muscular, and they've got, like, battle scars that have already long since healed. They don't look like they should be trading furs under any way.
Yeah.
And you notice,
the fur trade's rough.
Yeah, right? It's a tough business. And you notice there's an old beaten-up sword at one of their hilts. The kind that looks like it has most certainly seen combat before, like, this most recent encounter.
Well, you seem like men who know your way around a sword and know your way around combat, so this must be some impressive beast indeed.
Indeed. I mean, everyone around here must have a certain degree of power. You know, obviously it's a dangerous time to be alive, but we are merely no greater fur trader than anyone else, and they sort of shift in their chairs a little bit.
Well, Kalar is a trusting sort, so he'll take that answer. I shall slay this beast.
It is your funeral. I suppose here's what we can do. And he leans forward. It's said that there is a massive, massive bounty on the head of this beast. We take you there. You are a hero of legend. You slay it. We split the bounty.
Sounds good to me. I am not in need of money, but I do wish to end this terror. I will come with you.
Wonderful. And the three of you, and I think, the three of you go up to the Jarl, and, they drag you to the Jarl, up to the Jarl, and they're like, We shall claim this beast. We shall right this, and we shall free us from the tyranny of this monster. The three of us, Kurth, Gorn, and I'm sorry, I totally spaced on your name. Could you say it again?
Kalar.
Kurth, Gorn, and Kalar. We'll do this together. And everyone is immediately brushes them off until they say it 2 or 3 times.
Right. No, really, we're here to kill the beast, guys.
All right,
guys.
Good. Go do the thing.
I am ready. Are you two ready? You seem injured.
We'll survive.
All right, then. Lead the way. Sure. What does the guy in charge, does the Earl seem at all convinced?
No, not
yeah.
really. I think he seems... I think when it's Kurth and Gorn, I think the Jarl seems fine. Meh, whatever. You... Almost writing them off, writes them off to a certain extent.
Sure, he's just marking the grave plots as we're talking to him. Yeah.
And then when they see that there's a new person, he's like, "Oh, you seem new here. I'm not familiar with a barefoot, shirtless warrior among our ranks."
Yeah, that'll work.
I'd like to see how this plays out.
Yeah, awesome.
And so, the three of you embark. Make me, let's call this a survival check.
All right. Well, that's going to be a non-natural 20.
Fabulous. Excellent. So you not only do you find your way along, the hazards of these caves, along these hazards of these foothills, right?
Yeah.
You navigate, you actually, when you come upon sort of the den of what is purported to be this beast, you've actually found yourself in a pretty advantageous position. What is that? What is that position?
I would say if there's a cave opening, right, that we found a little path up and over it, and instead of going in right through the main cave, there's a small, almost natural chimney just a bit beyond it on top. And Kalar's pretty convinced he can just get right down that.
I love it. So then, you start to kind of make your way down this chimney. And, this is actually perfect. You kind of land on, you come down, and part of why it seems like you'll be able to make your way comfortably down this chimney is because there's a series of platforms, right? You drop 10 or 15 feet, and there's, a little outcropping, and you can kind of see that you should be able to basically make a series of short, 5 to 10 foot jumps, and jump from platform to platform.
Sure, and he can just a slow fall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And maybe guide a rope down so that when they get down, they can just climb the rope. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And so you start to kind of... Yeah, so you land on one of these. Yep, this is exactly what's going to happen. You land on one of these platforms, right? Like, you make it 2 or 3 down.
Sure.
And you start... You make your way through, and, you know, they're sort of, like, slowly scurrying down when... from... Make me a perception. What's your passive perception?
My passive perception is 11. Sorry, is 12.
Okay. Moments before it entangles your ankle,
Uh-oh.
you see vines and tiny, like, growths of plants just slowly creeping towards you.
Oh dear. Okay.
And one of them goes out to grab your ankle, and you know, you move it just in time, and it grabs, like, a little dead branch, and you see it crush that branch like it was nothing.
Oh, dear. I'm going to see if I can not convince it, but, like, kind of chase it back by waving the torch, like, at my feet in front of it.
That, I think, would be an intimidation. Is that still a skill in 5e?
Yeah, I know, right? I have to check every time as well.
And they've put them in a weird place in the book.
Yeah.
In 5e?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me an intimidation.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, having D&D Beyond has just changed how I work, both as a player and a DM. It's amazing. That's going to be a natural 1.
Fabulous. So I think what happens is... Oh, I know exactly what happens. You swing it, and, like, a vine, like, wraps around it and extinguishes and basically, like, squeezes the torch, extinguishing the flame. This fight is going to happen in darkness.
Oh, no. Okay, well, that didn't work. Awesome.
And so I am going to give... Oh, this is even better, because this thing has blinds. Perfect. Yep.
Of course.
You are in darkness. You are going to have disadvantage on your attack.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Unless you take action to light a torch or get some sort of light up to Kurth and Gorn as they scurry down the rope.
Right. Okay. Awesome.
All right. Give me your initiative.
My initiative is 17.
All right. You are going first. This vine blight is, like, surrounding you, and it's just this mass of, like, withering, twisted, knotty, gross vines. Like, half dead wood is just, like, lurching towards you.
Question.
Yes.
Are we both still holding the torch?
I think you have the option to release the torch immediately before, like, it would be a fast enough thing. If you want to be holding on to it, you can, or you can let it go.
I do. And it's pretty much wrapped around that torch as well. Mm-hmm. I mentioned, okay, then I am going to grip that torch with both hands and jump off the ledge and try to drag the thing down with me.
That's extremely cool. All right, I'm going to call this a dexterity check for you.
Awesome.
Opposed by a strength check for it.
All right. Oh, that's going to work. I got 19 plus...
Oh, yeah, you did it effortlessly.
I got 23.
Yeah, you did it effortlessly. You ripped the blight itself kind of rips out of the ground, and you kind of pieces of dirt and, like, root just start hitting you in the head as the two of you fall.
Awesome.
And it's just, like, tumbling down, like, above you, and vines are, like, grabbing at things. Actually, yeah, I think on its turn, it's going to try and at least save itself.
Yeah.
Which I will also call a dexterity.
Yeah.
This is probably a hard check. And it does not succeed. So whatever your plan is from here, it goes off. Like, it's grabbing at other roots and plants, and it's just ripping them from the walls.
Yeah, I'm going to try and slow fall, and I'm going to hopefully watch as it tumbles to its death. That's my plan. Okay. Well, not watch, because I can't see it, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. So... is that a check, or do you just slow fall?
No, so slow fall with me means I can absorb... sorry, 1 second. I can absorb a certain amount of damage. Yes, okay. I can use my reaction when I fall to reduce any falling damage I take by 30. So you would roll falling damage, and then we'd remove 30 points from that.
Gotcha. I think we'll just call this 100 feet. That feels like a suitably bottomless pit.
Yep.
Because it's only cool. It's only cool if it feels like this is a bottomless pit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, where is falling? What's the falling damage roll?
1d6 per 10 feet, right?
Yeah, so 10d6? Okay, so I'm just going to pull up a dice roller rather than roll a dice 10 times.
Awesome.
God, I love falling in role-playing games.
It's the best.
10d6. 36. Yeah, you take 6 damage, and you watch it fall, and disappear into the ether.
Nice.
You eventually land with a painful thud, and you just hear from below, give me a perception. This is going to be moderate.
So this will be a 10. Is going to be 18 total.
18 total, yeah. You hear from above, oh no, oh he's dead. Oh, he's dead. Oh, he was our in. He was our guy. He's gone. We're out.
I am not dead.
What?
I am not dead, my friends. Come down, but be careful. There are rope creatures. I believe I've killed it, though.
Cha-ching. I mean, great. Happy to have you alive.
Yes, cha-ching. He does not know what that means. Yes, indeed, cha-ching.
And they scurry their way down, and they pat you on the back, and so a cloud of dust picks up from around you from all the dirt that fell on you from having an uprooted plant over your head.
Oh yeah, and there's some weird aloe slime and crud like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the three of you are in this natural cave complex. And you can see from, slightly below you, right? It sort of... You're on the last outcropping before another sizable cliff that opens up into... You can see... It almost looks like a nest.
Light another torch. What kind of nest?
Give me a nature roll.
Oh, that's not going to be good.
Or Arcana. I think...
Doesn't matter.
Would be fine.
It is a 4.
It's a nest, and it seems made up of some cave plants and chunks of wagon. Larger than any bird's nest that you've ever seen.
Very large birds have been here.
That's the beast slayer right there.
When you say beast, large bird, is it less bird-like? Does it fly? It does fly.
It flies. It definitely flies. And you said it shot things at you? Yes.
And that makes it and Clark's just racking his brain. Is it a dragon?
Let me find exactly what it shoots at you.
Many flying beasts in the air who shoot things are indeed dragons. And Clark feels like he's educating people now.
Mm-hmm.
Sharing his vast knowledge.
Are those the big flying lizards?
Kalar doesn't know if they're lizards. Kalar thinks for a moment. Maybe. Yes, the giant flying lizards.
Yes, that sounds right. It's sprays acid and fire and steals yeah, it's a dragon. It's a dragon.
Amazing.
It is a massive colossal dragon. A terror beast from beyond of elemental fury, the greatest nightmare creature that has ever been born.
Then we shall slay this dragon.
And they're like, all right, onward. Climb down and we will join you, weapons drawn, and we will fight this thing to the death.
Let's light the nest on fire.
That, and they look at each other with a pause, would work.
Let's wait though. We'll light it on fire on the way out. That way the beast can never return here.
I like that. I like the way you think.
Excellent. Onward, my friends.
So you descend down this cave wall. You are looking among... Make me another perception roll.
Absolutely. That is going to be 9.
So, you fail to notice something unusual about this massive nest. That it's almost like you can stand in it.
Right.
There's something is off about it, but you can't figure out what.
Nor would Kalar be concerned about that.
Right. And you see that twinkle in the distance, and you know that your time is up and the dragon approaches.
Oh wow. Right. Then I would extinguish the torch and press my back along are we in a corridor heading that way? Or the larger open room now?
I think you're in a larger open room, and you are, like, the room itself is almost the nest. The nest seems to extend out into this, like, 100 by 100, or this, like, 80 by 80 room.
Yeah.
And, like, the whole room is made up of the nest.
Is there any natural light in this room? Or is the only light coming from the torch?
There's a little bit of natural light. I would probably put it at, like, half visibility, or, like, shadow, like, low light.
Yeah.
Is coming in from, like, maybe gaps in, like, the caves where you can see the outside.
Then I would extinguish the torch so as we're not a target. Press myself up against the walls and start to slide around them and into the room as carefully and quietly as I can.
Make me that stealth check, and I will oppose it.
That's better. That's going to be a 19.
All right. Yep. You effortlessly slide into the room. Kurth and Gorn come following behind you. And sure enough, like, you watch this thing. You watch this thing land. You know, you see it, it's shimmering gold scales. It crashes in like a burst of fire and acid and smoke. And it lands, and the smoke begins to clear as Kurth draws his blade. And you look upon this thing, and it doesn't... You look around the rest of the nest. This thing is way smaller than this nest would suggest. This thing's about, like... It's larger than you. It's still large. It's still pretty, sizable, but not significantly. It's probably, like, 7, 8 feet tall, 8 feet tall, about similar wingspan.
That's suspicious. And it's gold scales, not black scales.
That is correct.
I would put my hand quietly behind me and, like, kind of signal for them to sheathe their blades.
And I think because they want to rush this thing, I'm gonna ask for a roll for that.
Sure, of course.
This is gonna be a persuasion, or this will be whichever any of your charisma skills which you think is the best fit for this.
All of them are poor, so let's go with persuasion.
Good.
And that's going to be a 12.
Okay. Yeah, I think like you put up your hand and they start to go, and like they kind of have to like stop themselves.
Sure.
Almost as if like they don't want you to think there's something up.
Yeah.
They're almost trying to act normal.
Sure. I will stride right out into the open. Hello, creature.
The dragon rears back.
I am not here to attack you, and I apologize for my trespass. I was led to believe you were a much larger creature.
It cocks its head. It doesn't seem to understand what you're saying.
I do not speak dragon. Perhaps this. And I would take a stick, and I'd draw like a very large, rough dragon in the dirt, and then draw a tinier dragon next to it, point an arrow from the tiny dragon towards it, and then put an X over the larger dragon, and assume that will be understood.
And it kind of like, it looks at this. It looks at this, and it looks at you. And it looks at this, it looks at you. And it kind of like slumps down. And like kind of curls up into a ball a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, I will...
In a very sad cat way.
Oh, okay. Well, I will kind of like, I'll do like a little... like that kind of meditation sit next to it, and I'll just kind of look the creature in the eyes and very slowly reach out a hand.
And it does not turn away your hand, but it does lift up a claw, and it shoots out one of those like 6-inch claws on its hand.
Wow.
And it draws next to this large dragon a little sword.
Okay.
And then it crosses out the big dragon.
Oh, I understand what's happened here.
And at that moment, you hear swords being drawn from behind you.
I stand up. I turn around. I look at my friends. You have killed this creature's father or mother, but you have killed their parent. Is this true?
It is... hold your weapons. In whatever form they take, be they magic or otherwise, hold them.
Well, all I got is fists.
We are but jewelry traders. We are but jewelry traders.
Jewelry.
We are but... Yes, jewelry. Does that... Oh, we were fur traders. Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's...
You look a little scarred and large for fur traders, unless you've been tackling owlbear pelts.
And they, still holding their weapons, they just, step up to you.
I crack my shoulders.
You don't understand. Dragon scales are rich and powerful, and sometimes people are... Our community thrives on rare exports and priceless crafts, and sometimes you adventuring types are a little unwilling to do what needs to be done to harvest those goods, so an occasional lie is required.
So you require this creature's pelt, even
Yes.
though it is currently using it.
Of course. And it's gems, and I'm certain there's gold coins and gems and all manners of wondrous things deep in its hoard.
All of which belong to it.
Well, I mean, until it's no longer using them.
This creature is under my protection.
And they look at each other for a very long time, and they sigh, and they roll their eyes, and they go, "The dragon has cast some sort of mind control spell on our friend. We had to kill him. It's the only way.
Crack my knuckles. Let's go.
And let's roll initiative.
Awesome. That's going to be an 11.
All right, they rolled a 5, so you're definitely going first.
All right. What are they both armed with?
Short swords. I'd say Kurth has a short sword. Gorn has a club.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go for the larger one then. That sounds like Gorn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go for Gorn. I'm going to spend a key point so I can do Flurry of Blows.
Okay.
My first hit is going to be a 26. I'm assuming that hits.
It's gonna pretty effortlessly hit.
The second hit is a 16.
Let me see. 16 does hit.
Okay. And the third hit is going to be a 17. So those
17
all
also
three
hits.
Hit. So basically he just comes right at him, punch, drives a knee, and then comes around with an elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And does 14 plus... So 22 points of damage.
Yep. Gorn goes down in one fell swoop. As if something out of a Tony Jaa film. You just effortlessly bones break, and he is just out like a light.
And then I just stare at the other one, just standing over him.
Give me an intimidation roll for that.
Heck yeah. That's going to be a 16.
All right. I rolled a 19, so Kurth is weirdly ready, and just rushes you. And as he's rushing you, he flips out like a parrying dagger, and starts swinging at you with both.
Nice.
First attack is I don't assume an 11 hits you.
That will miss.
And the second is a 19.
That will hit.
All right. Take 4 piercing damage.
All right. So it just comes at me
as
with
he
this
slashes you with this parrying dagger.
Yeah, nice. So I dodge one, and then kind of cuts me across the arm. He's faster than he looks.
And he taps his head. It's all about it's not about strength. It's about brains.
Mm-hmm. Let's take this one out, shall we? Is the dragon doing anything, by the way?
The dragon, I think, is as we start the next round, the dragon is rearing back like it's afraid and like it's going to lash out of fear.
Okay, gotcha. I will then try to end this quickly, and I'll spend another key point to do so, and we'll do a flurry of blows on this dude as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a 22. That hits, I assume?
Yep.
Does a 14 hit?
It does.
Okay. And then a 15 is going to hit. So
15,
all 3
15
hits.
also hits?
Yeah, basically comes around with a roundhouse, and then follows up with 2 punches, and does 19 points of damage.
Oh yeah, you bring him down. Not quite as effortlessly as with Gorn, but you still pretty decisively take him out.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I make sure they're both out and not dead. Like I'll check their pulses to make sure they're not going to die. And then I will turn to my new friend and I will say, "What is your name, creature?"
And it kind of just, it cocks its head, and I think it shrugs a little bit, because I think it's, actually, I'm going to ask you for a roll. This is going to have to be a charisma roll, or else this thing is going to lash out.
Sure, fair enough. Oh, well, that's not bad. 16.
That actually succeeds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you managed to, like, I think given your previous, like, talk to him.
Yeah.
Given your previous talk to him, it calmed, it trusts you a little bit, so it kind of, like, calms down, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a shrug, like, it still doesn't fully know what, like, you're saying, but it's clearly, like, trusting you.
I'll hold a hand to my chest and say, Kalar, Kalar, like, pointing to myself.
Mm-hmm. And I think it holds a hand to its chest, and the best you're gonna get is it sounds like it says Urpop, but that's partially because it burped.
I will take it. So, mighty creature Urpop, and I would point to his whole cavern. This, not safe. Those people will return. We need to protect you, because Kalar is fully convinced that this is the creature he was sent to serve. Mm-hmm. He believes it now. He thought maybe at first it was them, but clearly not them, because they are not worthy. But this creature is worthy, and Kalar is sorry.
It's picking up on what you're laying down, and it's nodding its head. It's kind of jumping back and forth, like,
All right.
Yeah.
We are going to make this place safe. And Kalar would set about, if the creature is willing, fortifying the cave a bit. Basically, getting rid of some of the blind spots, getting rid of the natural chimney, or at least putting some barriers in the way. And he would probably spend the next couple of days doing, obviously he has to do something with these guys, so he'll tie them up, and he'll put them on the edge of the cave, and he'll wait until they wake up, and then explain to them what the new order is going to be.
Yeah. I love it.
Like, he's not going to wait. He will tie him up, go gather some cave water, and just splash it in their face.
No.
Hi.
You're still alive.
As are you.
Okay.
This is what you're going to do. You're going to return back to the village. You're going to tell them that the beast is scarier and mightier than you could ever have imagined, that you barely escaped with your lives, that it killed me in one bite. And you will tell them to never return here.
Of course. No, of course. You've got it.
If you don't, we will find you.
No, yeah, you can count on us. Come on. What reason do you possibly have to not trust your good friends Kurth and Gorn?
You are not my friends. You are liars, and you are thieves. You are unworthy of my friendship, but I will forgive it this once.
That is fair. We appreciate that. Good day to you. And I think they kind of, like, hands still tied, like, hobble, and, like, they hobble out, and they're like, all right, we're going to head back.
All right. And I'll turn to my new dragon friend, Urpop. I will say, even though he can't fully understand me, Urpop, they will spread the word that none shall come back here, but I will remain and help you defend it. For we are friends now. And he'd, like, put a hand out on the dragon's shoulder, if it allows it.
He does the same thing. And for the next few days, you fortify the nest. We get a nice montage of, like, the two of you bonding. I think that I'm gonna say like over the next, like, week, I'm gonna say if you would like to speak Draconic, and I think this thing is going to learn Common.
Hot. We're just, like, teaching each other some words. I love it.
Yeah, you have some basic communication. Yeah. You learn that, like, it has been, hunted through the cave complex. Sort of the cave complex. You learn that the cave complex that the dragon lives in is sort of somewhat connected to this underground, like, village complex.
Right.
and they have been, in their words, harvesting sort of magical items and goods, and they've sort of made a living off of selling these repurposed magical things, and it has been, but given that they were dragons, they needed to bring in like hired adventurers. Some of them were lured with money, some of them were lured with deception.
Right. And this has been feeding their economy. Is Urpop the only one left?
Urpop is the only one left.
Oh.
At least of this clan of dragons.
As a orphan, Kalar feels that because he was abandoned at this monastery, and he has never known family beyond himself and the priests who raised him. So that tugs at him a little more than he would have expected, and he redoubles his efforts.
And so, you fortify, you close off the entrances, the places of the cave that will connect, and for about a week, for a period, all is quiet.
I just see us sleeping on a pile, Kalar kind of wrapped up in his tail.
And I think that restful sleep is jarred by the clanging of steel and the shaking of torches outside of one of the caves. As the Jarl in his war carts, arrives out and says, "It is time to slay the dragon. It is time to slay the dragon," and the doppelganger, and he points to everyone and kind of gives like a nod, like we're all in agreement, that has taken us in as rubes, as fools, and has taken in residence with this dragon. We shall flay them, and we shall use the doppelganger blood for, shape change potions.
Right.
Sure.
I love that they all don't believe it, but they're saying it out loud anyway. That's the best.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Then I would turn to Urpop, and I feel like I would know this cave complex pretty well at this point, right? Mm-hmm. Where's the best place for an ambush?
Make me a survival. Would that be? Let's see. Do we want that? Would that be survival? You think survival, nature? What do you think would be the best roll for this?
Survival seems about right.
Survival seems right.
I mean, they're all low, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's an 18.
18? Yeah, you have. So there is probably. You knew to close off the chimney that you came down, because you know that they knew to come down that chimney. So, it's nice and well trapped. So that initial outcropping over which you saw the nest originally, is like a prime spot for an overhead ambush.
All right, then I will instruct Urpop to take refuge in the furthest cave back, and only to engage if I yell for help. And then I will go up top and try and get a better look and perhaps a drop on them.
Be safe, friend.
Yes, I will be, and you as well.
I will be. And he flies off, and you are in this overhead, and you watch the Jarl with a handful of Kurth and Gorner there, and a handful of other, and then the Jarl takes his scepter, holds it by the skull, and clangs it on the ground a few times. And you hear the rattling of armor. And a gunk, gunk, gunk. And it echoes. And you see they're we have bring forth the warrior. Bring forth the slayer.
Oh.
We take no chances tonight. And this thing walks, and it is 6.5 feet tall. Armor head to toe. From underneath the armor, and the armor is intricate and spiked, lined with gemstones, massive great sword in its hand, equally, I think, lined with pieces of dragon scales, and the nose ring of a minotaur is dangling from the bottom of it. Yeesh. Just various pieces of other mythical beasts that have been taken from this village.
Right.
And it comes forth, and you see underneath the armor is just a hellish red glow.
Well, that doesn't sound good. All right. If I'm up on the cave above them as they're waiting to come in, I would stand up, I would make myself known, and I'd be none need to die tonight. If you enter, you will all perish. There are nightmares and traps beyond your wildest beliefs. I have called friends to aid me. They will tear you apart. If you wish not to die, challenge me. For I wish to challenge that. And I would point towards the beast.
Mm-hmm. And it just, without missing a beat, like it had been walking towards the back, and without missing a beat, it turns on a perfect 90 degrees and starts walking and just hands into the mountain. Like it puts the sword on its back, closes its gauntlets, and just punch climbs its way up this cave wall.
Awesome.
And the Jarl sits back and says, if you wish to die by the Slayer's hand, you may die by the Slayer's hand. I mean, it is our greatest warrior. It is the thing that will slay our dragon. And surely it will make quick work of this. What did you say? Was it doppelganger? Definitely a evil, took the shape of a minute. It was dangerous doppelganger.
My name is Kalar, and if I defeat this beast you have summoned, you shall not bother this cave again.
If you think you can best this thing, give your best. I mean, none may stand before the Slayer. And like the Jarl is clutching that skull scepter, and like you see his knuckles going white, and he's just, even if he does not admit that you're 100% right, that if you beat this thing they're going to leave, he knows full well that if you beat this thing, there is nothing any of them are going to do.
Are they directly below me?
Yeah, I think they're a little bit low and maybe like 60 yards back.
Gotcha. So I couldn't do a running leap and just land on them. Okay, fair enough.
No. Well, the Slayer is now directly in front of you. They are underneath. You probably could, if you didn't have to worry about this thing.
Right, exactly. I can try and knock it onto him. Okay, I am going to then fight this unholy beast.
All right, I got a 20 on my initiative.
I got a 13.
All right, excellent. Good. So yeah, it just lumbers towards you, and it draws out that great sword, draws out that blade, and it just starts taking massive swing after massive swing, like burying the sword in the in the rock and pulling it out with a superhuman strength.
Oof, that is terrifying.
Does a 19 hit?
It sure does.
Then a 23 definitely does.
Oh yeah. Oh dear.
So this is going to be 1d10 plus 4, 2d10 plus 8, 9, 17, 25 damage.
Jeez, yeah.
Assume that you've healed all of the health from the previous battle.
Thank you. Yeah, that hurt. I'm not gonna lie. All right. Well, Kalar is going to try something. He's going to go into flurry of blows. He's going to maneuver himself a little around the creature and hopefully knock it back onto this guy below. We'll see what happens. Is a 19 going to hit?
19 does not hit.
Okay, well...
No, wait. A 19 exactly hits.
Oh my god, okay.
Because it normally has a shield, but it's using its sword with both hands.
I got a 19, a 24, and a 20, so
okay, yeah.
I just got lucky on that, what it looks like. I am going
the 20 and the 24 would have hit even with its shield, but the shield adds an armor class, so...
Terrifying. Okay, nice. That would be 14 plus 15, so that is 29, and he has to make a reflex save. Listen to me. He's got to make a dexterity save, DC 13, to not get knocked 10 feet back.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you punch, and I think what happens is literally like you punch through a chunk of it, right?
Nice.
And it rattles, and like pieces of it fall away, and you punch into it. You punch through a chunk of metal, like a chunk of armor, and some of it like scratches and cuts your hand a little bit. And you just feel what you feel on the other side. Your hand just feels this almost gelatinous pure energy, right? Oof. It's just this energy, and you pull your hand back, and it burns a little bit.
Oh, that's terrifying.
And it's like tumbling and toppling. And you said to make a dex save?
Yeah, a DC 13 to see if it gets knocked 10 feet back.
All right. Oh, it does not. It is 100% knocked backwards. You knock it. You send it tumbling back.
Nice.
So you send it tumbling, and I'm going to. What I'm going to say. Yeah, you send it tumbling, and I'm going to give everyone else the opportunity to. I'm just going to roll once for the whole kit and caboodle.
Sure.
I'm going to say I'm going to say at least Kurth and Gorn do not get out of the way, and they are knocked unconscious again, just because they're jerks and they're fun. They're fun henchmen to beat up.
Yeah. Whoa! They get knocked out. Yeah.
The Jarl probably even throws them in the way to push himself out.
Excellent.
And the thing tumbles down, and it takes 5, 8, 14 more damage. So that's 44 damage. It is, and you see pieces of it shatter, and it just climbs back up to its feet, and it's wobbling. And it just starts marching. Like, it wobbles for a second and then steels itself, pun intended, and then starts climbing back up the wall.
Excellent. As that happens, I shout, Urpop, get the staff.
And it bursts forth in a cloud of fire and fury and acid, and it effortlessly grabs the staff and just carries it, and it looks to you as if waiting. It's like as if waiting at command. It's like, what now?
I'll just put a hand up for the staff.
And it throws it effortlessly, and you catch it.
Shatter it over my knee.
Oh, and nothing happens because it was not a magical staff.
Oh.
And the Jarl is just like, no, it was so cool. It was such a cool thing.
That's very anticlimactic. He just left with this shattered staff in his hands.
Oh, yeah, everyone around is like, oh, I spent a long time making that.
I carved that for months.
I had to kill a dryad to get that spine.
What is wrong with you people?
Yes, that's exactly the right response.
I assume this thing is still coming, right?
And it climbs back up, and it's, one of its arms is dragging along the ground as it jerks it back up, almost jamming it back into its shoulder socket.
Ugh.
As it just continues to lurch towards you.
Oh, this poor thing needs to be put out of his misery.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go.
And it, so 14 hit you?
It does not.
So then an 8 definitely does not.
No.
All right. Yeah, so at this point, it's got the sword, and it's just that one arm that's being held up by crackling lightning is just lashing around like a whip, and it's just striking wild, and you're able to read where it's going to be just a few seconds in advance.
All right, I'm going to try and put this thing down. I'll spend one more key point. That's going to be a 21.
Yep, that hits.
A 14.
Does not hit.
And a 19.
19 hits.
All right, so 2 of them. That's going to be 7 points. So another 17 points of damage.
Oh, and describe the finishing blow on this helmed horror.
So as this thing is coming towards me, just looking pathetic and sad, and the rage that was in its eyes has now faded into almost like this helplessness, almost as if Kalar can feel it willing to die. And Kalar just drives a hand into its knee. Again, it just kind of drops down, takes at its knee, and then comes up with an elbow as hard as he can underneath the chin and just spins the head around, dropping the thing.
I love it. Yeah, and it just the energy dissipates, it crackles, and in a thunderous explosion, it throws you into a wall and just tumbles into a pile of junk on the floor. Right. People are scrambling. The Jarl, head down, is everyone is running to the carts. The dragon chases after them, blows up the cart, and they are left running by foot back to their little mead hall. And the two of you stand together. And it just says, they will be back.
And I turn, and I place a hand on its shoulder. And I will be here, my friend, for we are bonded now.
As will I.
And give him a hug.
I think it hugs you back. This beautiful friendship is cemented for a lifetime. And I think that's game.
Oh, that's amazing.
That was lovely. That was way more like wholesome and fun than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm so pleased with that.
That turned out perfectly. Oh, and the helmed horror, like, here's the thing. The helmed horror is like a cool monster, and it's cool partially even because it just doesn't do anything like fancy. It's just a big scary armor thing, but that's still like cool and scary. I'm happy with it.
Anything that's big like that just doesn't stop coming and doesn't say anything and doesn't negotiate is always terrifying.
Oh, it's so good. That was a fun game. That was very fun.
Awesome.
Aram, thank you for coming on Party of One. This was a blast.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
So real quick, where can people find you and your work online?
Sure. So you can find my work at godsfall.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at Vartian, Vartian, or at Godsfall, G0DSFALL, because Godsfall was taken by some kid.
Yeah, isn't that always how it goes? Well, thank you for coming on the show. This was an absolute delight. And now I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me. Thanks, past me. And thanks again to Aram for coming onto the show. That episode was a blast. Be sure to check out Godsfall at godsfall.com, and be sure to check out Rise of the Demigods at twitch.tv/godsfall. Also, be sure to follow Godsfall on Twitter at Godsfall, spelled with a 0 instead of an O, because the name Godsfall was taken. Speaking of Twitter accounts that were available, while you're on Twitter, you should follow us at Party of One Pod, then like the show at facebook.com/partyofonepodcast. Join our Discord community at bit.ly/partyofonediscord. And if you enjoy the show, consider leaving us a nice iTunes review, a social media shout-out, or a word-of-mouth recommendation to a friend. All of those things help new listeners find the show, which helps us do bigger, better, and cooler things. You can also support the podcasting, community support, game design, all the other cool stuff that I do on Patreon at patreon.com/JeffStormer. Do you like podcasts? Do you like role-playing games? Do you like Jeff Stormer? If you answered yes to at least 2 of these things, I think I've got a podcast that you'll really enjoy. All My Fantasy Children is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast on the One Shot Podcast Network, powered by you. Every week, my best friend Aaron Catano-Sayas and I take a listener-submitted prompt, we spin it into an original fantasy character, and we populate a shared universe, one story at a time. New episodes drop every Friday at allmyfantasychildren.com. Party of One is produced and edited, as always, by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Ran, featuring the D&D Sluggers. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates or about coming onto the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And that's it for me. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance, and as always, party on, everybody.